Hi, Coach Eric Twiggs here, and welcome to the monthly webinar. Today we'll be talking about mastering the fundamentals of car count. When I think of a master of the fundamentals, I'm reminded of the martial arts world and none other than Bruce Lee. He was a master of the fundamentals, and here's what he had to say. I believe this has everything to do with our quest for more cars. He said, "I'm not afraid of the man who practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I am afraid of the man who practiced one kick 10,000 times." And this really relates to our quest to get more cars, because often when we look at trying to get more cars, we're looking at that next new thing. What's the new innovative idea that's going to take my car count to the next level? When really we ignore the tried and true methods and practices that'll really take our game to the next level. And that's really the theme of this webinar. Let's focus on being brilliant at the basics, and that's what it's all about when we master the fundamentals of car count. I know you're saying, okay, Eric, that was a cute quote, that was a cute story, but what's in it for me to participate on this webinar? Well, since you asked, you will learn daily, weekly, monthly, and quarterly car count strategies. You'll know if you need to focus on retention or acquisition. You'll get an overview of how to use the marketing calendar, and you'll learn how to have the right car count, even when your vendors are saying it's slow. So let's get to work. First, let's talk about the visit frequency report. This is the foundation of your marketing plan. Now, when I think about marketing, I'm going to use the metaphor of the door. So you have the front door and the back door. The front door is all of the new customers that you get as a result of various marketing efforts. Maybe you did a mailer, maybe you're doing things on Google. We pay attention a lot to the front door. Say, hey, had a great month. I got 40 new customers. Hey, I got 50 new customers. But then we wonder why our car count number really isn't changing. That's because we have neglected the back door. So the back door is customers that may have left us because we haven't touched them enough or they're upset with the business. But we're not taking into account the customers that are leaving out of the back door. So if we get 40 new customers, but we have 40 customers that aren't coming back, our car count doesn't move. And that's really the power and the value of the one-time visit frequency report. And just as a heads up, when you ask your coach for car count strategies, their response to you is going to be, okay, what's your one-time visit frequency percentage? Just a fair heads up. It's a very key measurement. The average one-time visit frequency percentage, and that's when we take the total number of customers you have for a 12-month span. We take the total number of one-time customers. These are customers that only came in one time. We take that number, divide it into your total customers, and we get the percentage. The average for an ATI shop is around 45%. If you're at 32%, congratulations, you're at best practice land. Now that's good and bad. It's good because you've definitely closed the back door. You aren't losing customers, but it could become a bad thing down the road because a lot of your customers have already had their major services done. So you'll have a struggle. If you don't have an aggressive new acquisition strategy, you may struggle to produce profitable revenue. So the visit frequency report can help you with that. Now, the other side of that is if your one-time visit frequency percentage is at 70%, you've got a big issue. Your back door is wide open. Did your customers die? Did they move away? Are they upset with the business? We need to figure that out, and this report helps us to do that. This report is great also because it tells you how many cheaters you have. Now, a cheater is defined as that customer that over the previous 18-month span had visited you at least 3 times, but they've done 0 visits in the last 6 months. So we need to figure out why did they stop visiting all of a sudden. The report helps you with that. You can order this report through MechanicNet. The phone number's right there in your slide. It's 1-877-632-4638. Now, if you're a MechanicNet customer, it's $25 per month. There's no contract. If you're not a MechanicNet customer, it's $50 a month. You may be thinking, oh, that's $50. I don't have money to spend on this report. We need to consider it an investment. So think about it this way. For what you're going to spend this coming weekend on dinner and entertainment, you're going to spend more than that. You can invest in yourself and improve your marketing and get your cheaters to come in and lower your one-time visit frequency. So I would challenge you to make sure you order this report. I'm going to give you an overview of everything that it tells you. Really a lot of great information. So you look here, it tells you your one-time visit frequency percentage. It tells you by customer. So you can see here, this is actually from Ken's Automotive. Shout out to Mark and Donna Mead. Their one-time visit frequency percentage is 52%. They've come a long way. When we first started tracking this, they were around 68%. But they've been active with maintenance and a lot of retention marketing and scheduling appointments, which we'll talk about later. So they've gone from 68% to 52%. Another number we look at, if you scroll up on the screen, you can actually see the average number of visits, and you can see they're actually at 2.26 visits per customer. Now the average is about 2. If you're lower than 2, if you're at 1.5, you've got a retention issue. It's just another way to look at that. And if you're at 3 visits per customer or better, congratulations, you've got great retention. And then the report also tells you the percentage of customers that are cheating on you. Now they're at 8.5%. That's actually a little bit on the high side. The average is about 5% when we look at cheat percentage. And if you're at 10%, that's red alert time. You can print up a listing of all of your customers that are currently cheating. And again, they've done 3 visits in 18 months, but in the last 6 months, they haven't visited you. So you can run a report and you can actually send them text messages, an email blast. You can call them, you can send them a mailer. But now you can get your arms around a problem before it really becomes a big one and you lose them permanently. Very important. I challenge you to order this visit frequency report from MechanicNet. And now we're on to the next fundamental, which is checking for wedding rings and keychains. This data comes from Experian Automotive. The average family has 2.28 vehicles in the household, and 35% of households have 3 or more cars. So what does that mean? That means that if your customer comes in, they've got a wedding ring, chances are there's multiple vehicles in the household. The question is, are you servicing all of their vehicles? So it's a basic thing of paying attention to who's wearing a wedding ring. And if you're not servicing all of their vehicles, we need to find out why, and let's make sure that we are going forward. The other basic part of this is checking for keychains. Mr. Twiggs, you always take his Honda. Now all of a sudden you see he's got a Toyota key ring. Well, who's servicing the Toyota? It's a good opportunity. It's very basic, but again, our focus for today is to become brilliant at those basics. So here's the next fundamental. It's the basic follow-up calls. According to the American Marketing Association, 68% of all business is lost because of a failure to follow up. I mean, think about that. 68% of business is lost because we're not taking advantage of the opportunities that are right here within our 4 walls. We have the 3-day thank you call. There's the appointment reminder call. There's the appointment no-show call. And this is a call that's really underutilized. You know how you're using your phone log, customer makes an appointment, you track that they've made an appointment on the phone log. Why not go back and do follow-ups to those customers that didn't come in for their appointment, but they're on the phone log? And then there's the how have you been call. Not to be confused with where have you been. How have you been is less judgmental. You're really showing care and concern for that customer that you haven't seen in 6 months or longer. We've got scripts for all of these calls. Your coach would be more than happy to provide you with a script so that you can do these follow-up calls. But again, we talked about the one kick 10,000 times. This is one of those one kicks, the basic follow-up calls. Next, recommended service reminders. Contact the last 3 months of customers who previously declined services. A couple of ways you can do this. A lot of the shops, your management system allows you to track previously declined services right through your system. But for those where you can't, it's just a matter of setting up an going out and getting an accordion file folder. This is called the 31-day lead program. You go out, you get an accordion file folder, you number each slot 1 through 31. So today is the 23rd. You would take your declined services or declined estimates and put it in the slot that's numbered 23. And then 3 weeks from that point, you would make that call. And again, 3 weeks is a great interval because you know the customer's probably gotten another paycheck. So for example, if at the time of purchase they told us they didn't have the money, if you call them 2 days later, it would seem like we're pestering them and they'll say, look, I already told you I don't have the money. But 3 weeks is a great time frame to make that work. And that's why I would challenge you to use the 31-day lead file and make sure we're following up with those customers. We have scripts for that call as well. And please understand, it takes an average of 20 calls to get 3 customers to come in. That's just basic retention marketing math, about 15% response rate on average. I bring that up because I talk to service writers all the time and they say, Eric, this doesn't work. I've made 5 calls and no one's come in. Keep in mind, it's a numbers game. You have to work the numbers for the numbers to work for you. It takes 20 calls to get 3 customers to come in, so don't give up. The more compelling the call is, you can increase that response rate. Now I have on the slide here how to make $26,000 in additional revenue. I got this idea from Eddie Cleveland and Kenny at Robyman Auto. Shout out to Eddie and Kenny. Here's what they do. So they go through their recommended services. These are customers that they've offered a major maintenance service, a 30K, a 60K, or a 90K, and they actually put together an email blast through their marketing provider, and they offer that customer, if they come in during that designated period of time, which is traditionally slow, they come in during that time, like for example, Black Friday, they offer $50 off if they have that service done. They also do something with the timing belt. So customers they've offered a major timing belt service to, if they come in during that designated time period, they offer that customer a $100 off. Well, they did this over the past few weeks and they've gotten $26,000 in additional revenue. Could you use an additional $26,000? I can see you shaking your head yes from here. So that means that you're going to hang up from this webinar and definitely implement one of these ideas. But recommended service reminders are critical. It's a great basic. Next, let's talk about oil changes. Of all the services that you offer, the oil change is that one service that the majority of your customers are going to be in market for. That's why we really can't neglect this side of the business because it's like neglecting an at-bat. So the question is your basic oil change competitively priced? And I'm sure many of you have different competitors in your market, like a Jiffy Lube. They have a low price oil change offering, but what they do is they use that just to create that low price impression. When that customer comes in, they get upsold to a higher level oil service or a higher level maintenance service. If your competitors are at $30 on their basic oil change and you're at $60, guess who loses the business? You won't even get the at bat. Are you refreshing all of the oil change stickers? The key is all oil change stickers, not just the ones that you put on originally where you did the oil service, but they came in with a competitor sticker. Why not just refresh it with your sticker? Let the customer know, Mrs. Jones, we went ahead and gave you a fresh sticker. Your next service is going to be on February the 24th. It's a basic thing. And sometimes I listen to these phone calls. We'll talk more about phone calls later. And you can tell that we don't value the oil change. And we'll run a marketing campaign, we'll do a mailer, and it works. We market our oil change service as a discount on an oil change. It gets the phone to ring like it's supposed to. And I'll listen to a call and the customer will ask about an oil change. Now I literally hear the service writer, that's going to be pushing it. Why don't you try early next week? And as it turns out, we're not really busy, but we just don't want to take the time to do the oil change. So please be aware of this. Oil changes are critical, if used correctly, to helping us to master the fundamentals of car count and grow our business. Next, I'm about to get controversial. We're going to talk about exit appointments. This is a controversial topic. we recommend using the dental approach. So you know how you go to the dentist's office and you get your teeth cleaned, and then after your appointment, the lady behind the counter, the guy behind the counter, he hands you a card and says, okay, Mr. Twiggs, we did your teeth cleaning today. Your next service is going to be February the 26th. Simple. And maybe your experience at the dentist's office is different from mine, but I have never seen a fist fight break out at the dentist's office because someone was scheduled an appointment. But yet I hear all the time every reason in the book why we can't do exit appointments. Oh, Eric, you don't understand. My customers don't like to be exit scheduled. Oh, you don't understand. They don't like the service. I would challenge you to revisit your beliefs, because quite often it's not the customer that has a problem with it. It's the person that's behind the counter that has an issue with the exit appointments. And I would challenge you to really get outside of your own head. Because just because you wouldn't schedule your next appointment at an automotive repair facility doesn't mean that your customer wouldn't. And it's been proven time and again that the customer who has an appointment is more likely to come in than the customer who doesn't. That's just been proven time and time again. So we're missing the boat. We're missing an opportunity to close that back door by not focusing on exit appointments. Now, the mystery envelope, I've got it pictured here. That's something that a lot of our shops have had success with. It takes the edge out of the whole exit appointment process because it makes it a game. So you can actually put things inside of this mystery envelope like a free oil change, $20 off their next service, a free car wash, but it's an incentive. So when that customer comes back for their appointment, they get a prize. And as you can see, it's pictured right there. You write the appointment right there on the front. It's got your logo, your brand, and on the back of it, it's actually got a magnet that sticks on the customer's refrigerator. So now your name and your logo for the next 90 days is in the customer's face while they're in the kitchen. And we've had a lot of customers, they make a game out of it. Oh, can you give me a hint? What's in the envelope? Nope, I can't tell you. You have to come back for your next appointment. So the other thing to think about with the mystery envelope, it does give you a competitive advantage because your competitors are not using this exit appointment and giving your customers incentive to come back. Just think about that. And you may have heard me say this before, but I'm going to say it again to really bring this exit appointment conversation to a close. People may lie, politicians may lie, but the math never lies. There's math that proves that if you schedule these exit appointments, your business will be better than if you didn't. Just look at the slide. If you average 50 cars a week, and we'll be conservative with our estimates, if only 25% of your customers came back, that's 12 extra cars that you would have that you wouldn't have normally had. And if you have a $400 ARO, that's $4,800 of business in the next 90 days that you wouldn't normally have. So a lot of our shops, they have 50% of the customers coming in. So tremendous opportunity for us. Next, let's talk about phone shops. 68% of all customers call before visiting a shop. And that's a consistent statistic throughout the automotive industry that we found. So just about 7 out of every 10 customers call first. Now, I got this next statistic from Randy Summers, who teaches the Service Advisor class, Part 1, 2, and the Advanced, and even the Service Manager class. Now, he has phone shopped 1,400 service writers. And out of 1,400, only 64 have passed. Only 64 have offered the customer an appointment, which is the main point of the call. That's 4%. What a huge opportunity we have right there within our 4 walls, right there on the phones. So the question I would ask is, do you have a system in place to record all the phone calls? And I'll tell you what, if I'm running a shop today in 2016, I would have a system in place to record all of my outgoing calls, all of my incoming calls, because you can't manage what you're not measuring. And listening to the recordings with your service writer, that gives you a huge opportunity to measure how we're doing on the phone, and you've got the evidence right there in front of them. I would encourage you to definitely get that in place. And I listen to phone calls out all the time. And here's the thing, and maybe this is something that you can ultimately help me out with. I'm looking for best practices. I'm looking for a recording that I can say, hey, this is how we should be doing it, that I can send out to everybody. But I can't find one. Most of the recordings I hear are terrible. I was listening to a call with one of my shop owners, and the customer calls and says, hey, I've got a knocking noise. I want to bring it in today. The writer responds, he says, that's going to be tough. I don't think we'll be able to get to it today. The lady hangs up. She never comes in. And I'd be willing to bet if I talk to that service writer and say, hey, why is car count down? He'll say, Eric, you don't understand. It's the economy, it's election year, and it's my area. My area is different. No. We just aren't answering the phones correctly. So please make this a priority. If you would like someone from ATI to phone shop you, please follow up with your coach. You can also email me at etwiggs@autotraining.net. So next, we're going to talk about the marketing calendar. I like the marketing calendar because it helps you to begin with the end in mind. You'll see exactly what I mean on this next slide. So here is the portal. This is how you get into the marketing calendar. You've got the dashboard clicked. You will go to the next row where it says marketing calendar. It's the third from the left. You would click on that. This is actually an example from Scotty's Auto Repair. Shout out to Sam, Karen, and Raven at Scotty's Auto Repair. But we're going to look at their marketing calendar. The point of this is to give you an overview of how to update this and make this work for you. Follow up with your coach after this webinar, and they will walk you through the specific details of how to update this. So first, you see there's little tabs. You've got the campaign manager. So that would be your first step to updating your marketing calendar. You can put the campaign name. In this example we're using, it's a birthday promotion that we're doing. You can put the start date, the end date. You can put the weekly car count requirement. And you can get that number a lot of ways by doing a win number drill, which is also in the portal, but figuring out exactly how many cars you need. That allows you to begin with the end in mind, and you've got a plan. When you have a plan, your marketing tends to work better. And it's not an emotional decision. You're really putting numbers behind your decision, and you're setting goals based off of hard numbers because, as we said before, the math doesn't lie. So we're putting math to use. You can record your average repair order. And here's what's cool. When you click on those ATI buttons, it'll give you what your averages are for whatever time period you want to set it to. So then it populates the campaign forecast that's to your right, and you can see exactly what the impact would be to your sales and your net profit if your campaign is a success. And then you will go down where it says campaign sources as the next step and specify how much it's costing you, what your target return percentage is, your target weekly car count, so forth and so on. So that's the first critical step. You're updating the campaign manager. So next, you would click on marketing calendar. And when you click on the date that it starts, it gives you an opportunity to populate those actual dates onto the calendar, just like you see it right there. And this helps you to keep yourself on track. And you can print that out. You can keep it in your office. You'll know you nailed it when you know specifically from a marketing standpoint what you're going to do every day. What are you going to do weekly? What are you going to do monthly? What are you going to do quarterly, and what are you going to do annually, and what are your seasonal promos? You've already got that spelled out on the calendar. That's how you know. And the cool thing with the marketing calendar is that your coach can look at it as well and get insight as far as what you're doing and give you some additional suggestions. So next is the response scorecard. So let's say you're running that birthday promo. You would go in on a weekly basis. So as customers are coming in with the $25 off special, you would record it on a weekly basis so you can track who's coming in. You can track for the volume represents the number of people that came in with the promotion. The income represents the dollars. The discount represents if you're doing like a $25 off and it's 3, so that'd be $75 in discounts. because we're tracking that. Again, so now it's not an emotional decision. We've got the hard numbers like we said earlier. So here you can really measure how successful your campaign has been. You can see what the average repair order is, what's the net sales after you factor in the discounts. So now you're getting an idea of what was the true return on investment for that last marketing campaign. And this comes in handy, especially if you're doing something that's seasonal. If you're trying to decide whether or not I'm going to do this again, you can look at hard numbers and say, hey, this time last year we made over $10,000 or whatever the number is. So this was worth doing. Now you may be thinking, Eric, you know what? This is all great with the marketing calendar, but I don't even know what to do. I don't know what promotions to run. We help you there too. You just click on the next tab, which is the Idea Center. So we've talked about a lot of these. If you look down, it's got daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annual. So if you look at the daily section, we've talked about a lot of these ideas so far. The weekly, please don't neglect where it's got update Google and Facebook. Many of our members are getting anywhere from 8 to 12 new customers a week just off of what they're doing with their Google Plus page, what they're doing with Facebook. 8 to 12 cars for free is never a bad thing. So please don't overlook this. You can follow up with your coach if you need the details as far as how to optimize your internet presence and make the best of it. And then when we look monthly, BNI is the last bullet. BNI stands for Business Networking International. I would Google that. In most parts of the country, there's a BNI chapter. It's a networking group. They meet every week. It's another great way to get new customers. So especially if you're at 32% on one-time visitors, this could be a good opportunity. It's only $450 or so annually that you pay, and you can get that back with one referral because the goal of the BNI organization is to consistently refer business to one another. And then when we look at quarterly, you've got the different newsletters and things of that nature. You have seasonal promotions. We're in the holiday season. Many of the shops are doing the holiday promo, which you can access the cards through our resource center, through the marketing toolbox, which we had up on the slide earlier. That works very well. A lot of our members are using the WOW card campaign. That's WOWCARDS.com. They give you the first 50 cards for free. It's a great promotion. It's low risk, high reward. Think about different seasonal promotions. Don't forget to do canned food drives, for example, as a seasonal promotion. That's where if the customer comes in with 3 or more canned goods, you give them $25 off. That's been very successful and really helps you to build goodwill in your community. This Idea Center, they can give you great ideas to help you to make sure you know what you're doing every day. You know what you're doing every week. You know what you're doing monthly. You know what you're doing quarterly. And you know what your yearly events are. So that's the marketing calendar. Can you use the marketing calendar to keep track of the holiday promotion? Yes, you can. When you go back to that response scorecard tab, you can actually keep track of who's coming in with the promotion. When you were on that campaign manager tab, you would actually record the costs of the promotion. And I would also encourage you, when you talk about the holiday promo, to have a separate little graph or have a spreadsheet that you keep at the counter. So you're keeping track of who's coming in. If that good customer has customers they can refer you to, you can remind them, hey, don't forget to refer us to your family and friends. Does RO Writer allow you to track your one-time visit frequency? Yes, they actually have a visit frequency report. It'll give you that percentage number that we talked about earlier, as far as your percentage of one-time visits, but it won't give you who's cheating on you. That's the advantage of the Mechanic Net report. RO Writer also has a revenue by source report, so you can ask the customer what brought them in, and you can also track who's coming in off of what and what's actually making you the most money. So definitely you can use RO Writer, but I would really encourage you to use that Mechanic Net visit frequency report so you can track your cheaters and send them marketing from there. As I close, I want to talk about the path. And one of my favorite movies is The Matrix. And there's this pivotal point in the picture where Keanu Reeves, who plays Neo, and you have Lawrence Fishburne's character, which is Morpheus, they're having this conversation, and Neo's at the point where he's finally starting to get it, and he's finally starting to get what Morpheus has been trying to tell him. And he says, "No, Morpheus, I get it. I think I know the path." And what Morpheus says next has everything to do with what we've spoken about today. He says, "Neo, there's a difference between knowing the path and walking the path." My hope is that I've inspired you not just to know the path, but to walk the path. And based on the fact that you were on this webinar, I've got confirmation that you know the path. Hopefully you've been inspired to walk the path so that you can master the fundamentals of car count. I thank you for joining me on today's webinar and enjoy the rest of your day.